Law enforcement expert Jamie Copenhaver was watching this along with us. Jamie is here with me. Jamie, your major takeaways from what you heard from the DHS secretary.
We were talking about perceptions. I mean, the secretary came out and said the officer that fired the fatal shot or the deadly shot certainly perceived that individual with a weapon threatening in a threatening manner. And, he had about a second or two to react to that. And obviously, according to the secretary, he felt in fear of his life where he fired the fatal shot, killed this. So, we heard a little bit about that. We didn't hear a lot about who's going to conduct the investigation. She did indicate that OPR was going to be involved, which is the Office of Professional Responsibility. But I've got to tell you, Austin, that's a more or less an internal affairs investigation. It's an administrative investigation, not criminal. So they're going to do an administrative investigation. We've heard rumor that DHS was going to do their own independent investigation on the shooting today. So we just don't have a clear picture as to who's going to lead that investigation.
Right before we went out to Noam's remarks, we were listening to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry and their police chief. Fry said that he's talking with Minnesota officials about bringing the National Guard into the city. What would that mean for the city?
Hopefully they would cordon these protesters off and allow them to continue their protest. I don't think the mayor or the governor wants them to stop. I don't think the administration wants the protest to stop. They want to afford them the First Amendment right to do that. Hopefully what I would like to see is the governor or the mayor himself designate an area of protest so it doesn't place these protesters in harm's way, if you will, from these federal agents. That's looking from that side. Coming from a law enforcement side of this, I would love to see those protesters in a contained area so they are not in the way of federal operations. Therefore, no one will get hurt or injured or, like we see today, fatally shot because they would be in a contained area of protest. So hopefully that would be an element of the National Guard that we would see enacted by the governor or the mayor.
We were listening in to Police Chief O'Hara. He says that the plan, he was really speaking about, the rest of the night. He says their major focus is maintaining order in the city. He said they're focusing on de-escalation. They say for now, right now, situation is peaceful and they intend to keep it that way. They did say that the state deployed less than lethal rounds to disperse a dangerous gathering earlier in the day. And they can't stress this enough. They say if you're going to protest, do it peacefully. We've heard this message over and over from local and state officials in Minnesota saying, don't take the bait from the federal government and peacefully protest. Make your voice heard, but do it in a way that maintains law and order. Jamie, final question for you before we go out to Minneapolis. When an unlawful assembly is declared, what advice do you have for anybody who is at or near a demonstration?
Leave immediately. Don't obstruct, don't argue, don't yell, don't video, don't be a viral TikToker because you're probably going to end up going to jail. And if you resist, you're going to probably get injured. Real quick, Austin, I would like to see the governor or the mayor himself enact some type of state of an emergency to prohibit people carrying firearms during the protest. We saw that in Katrina and some other hurricanes in the past. So, the governor and the mayor certainly could do that. That would take that element out of the equation, if you will, just to make it safe.
Law enforcement expert Jamie Copenhaver, thank you for being generous with your time tonight. We appreciate you.
Good to be with you, Austin. Thank you.
Of course. While we were listening into some of those press conferences, we got some more context from the Associated Press about the actual identity of the person, about the life that was lost